Hello, Lincoln here from RFN Australia. Today I'll be showing you how to build your brand new SXE 500 and SXE 250. Let's dive right in. On the left hand side here we'll have a box that has your charger, toolkit and a couple other things, and also some race numbers. On the E500 there's a front and rear brake, so the front brake doesn't come on the 250s, so there's the front brake assembly there. And sit it on there just so it doesn't damage anything underneath and keeps the front forks up in the air to put the front wheel on. And in the bottom of your box there should be a spare battery. Inside this white bag on the left hand side here will be your toolkit. There should be inside 3 Allen keys and a spanner. This will be essential for putting your bike together. The only extra tool you'll need will be a good set of side cutters. In the middle of this white bag you'll have your user manual stuffed behind your charger. Make sure to read that, and of course your charger. This one should be 42 volt 3 amp for the 500s. Just make sure inside you have the main charging component and your lead. Then on the far right of the bag you'll have a little white bag here. Inside should be your front axle assembly. It should have 2 spacers on it, your 2 nuts, and then this is your rear shock bolt. Then also inside here will be an extra little charging cable that attaches to your frame. Just take off the plastic by getting it about halfway here and then sliding it right off. First job is to get your side cutters and your rear brake lever. Just cut the zip tie there, making sure you don't damage the fork. That should come up and around and you should be able to sit that on your seat for now. Next will be to grab your 5mm Allen key. This is the middle size Allen key. And as you can see here, the front fork's all the way up. We're just going to loosen off these triple clamps here. And then we're going to slide it down. On top of these triple clamps there's a line just here. You'll slide it all the way down to that line. And then re-torque up your triple clamps. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. The next step, we're going to install the front mud guard, but it's easier to take off the front plate first, so we're going to do that. Make sure you keep the bolt and the washer in there. So we've got our front mud guard and the bolt is already installed in the bottom of the triple clamps. You'll just need to remove it with the same Allen key. Then when installing the front mud guard you want to make sure these 2 tabs go over the top of the triple clamp. Then reinstall your screw. We'll reinstall the front number plate once we put the front brake assembly on, just so we can run the brake lines a bit neater. So we'll sit this off to the side for now. On the front wheel of the E500 we have a front disc, so just make sure that goes on the left hand side of the bike. I'm going to start by just pushing this in and adding a spacer. And lift up your wheel, slide the axle through all the way to the other side there and add another spacer. Then simply just push it in like that and it should go through. Add your other nut. And in your toolkit there'll be the 15mm spanner. You just use that to do the front up. And that's all done for the front wheel. So So when installing your handlebars here, you don't want any cables running through the middle. So I just got your rear brake lever there that we're going to sit off to the side, and then just make sure your cables or any of these aren't running. So we'll just sit those there and make sure your throttle's on the right side, of course. Next, we're going to bring back over our top clamps, and then we're going to put them on just lightly. So you want to do these down, not until they're done up, just enough so they can hold the bars. So don't do them too tight. And then I'm just going to rotate the bars, and just over here there will be a little white markers here. They'll sit right on where the clamps are, and that should get your line of where to line them up. Then you want to make sure you do these clamps evenly, so do a little bit each side and just try and keep the gaps here as even as possible. As you can see on this one, I've gone too far on the top side and not enough on the bottom side, so I'll just loosen off this top side a little bit and then go to the bottom side. Next, we have our rear brake lever here. Using the smallest Allen key, we're just going to take this bolt all the way out. Might be a little tight. So the clamp opens right up like that. We'll put it onto the bars here, put the bolt back in and do it back up. Normally I just leave my rear brake levers a little bit loose, so if there is a crash then they do bend like that and roll around instead of breaking the lever. That's just a quick tip. Next, we're going to reinstall the front mudguard. What I like to do is just run my wires on the left side and then my brake lever on the right side of that hole just there to make it look a bit neat, and just make sure these are tucked behind here. So you want to line up the bottom here with these two holes in the bottom of the front number plate, and make sure your wires are all in the correct position. Then using the smallest Allen key, just putting it back in. So on both sides the zip ties are just holding up the foot pegs, so we'll just cut those, and there's also just a little foam bit there. So next we're going to install the rear shock here. So this bolt came in your pack, and then using the biggest Allen key, the 6mm, we're just going to lift the back end up here, get that so that hole is lined up, and then this should slide in. It may need screwing in all the way just because of the tight fit. So just make sure this rear shock is nice and tight, and then just give it a good press just to make sure there. So you can remove this foam now. You can even flick down the side stand, and this should be all for a E250, but because the E500 has a front brake assembly, we'll install that now. Next, we're going to install the front brake assembly here. Like I said, these only come on the E500s, not the 250s. So we're going to start off by, we've just got a couple of screws here that we're going to undo. This will be our middle size Allen key. Then we're just going to take this red tab out of here. This is just to stop the brake pads from squeezing together. And then you want to make sure both the brake pads are either side of the disc. And it should line up with these two holes, and just reinstall these two bolts here. Next step will be to install this front brake lever. What I like to do is just run it behind the rear brake line just there, so it keeps it nice and tucked in. And then we'll do the same with the other lever. Just undo it all the way. Open her up. Put her on. Next, you'll have to grab a 3mm Allen key for this little brake line holder here. Just undo it, but don't undo it all the way. Then just rotate it the other way, clip your brake line in there, and then do it up. Just make sure it's nice and straight and your brake line's in there. And that should stop your brake line from coming out. So that's all for the assembly. The last bit is the good part, taking off all the protective covers. So you'll have a couple of little ones just here on the spokes and on the wheels here too. Just make sure you get every little bit, and there'll also be a couple of ones like the front forks here. So now that we've got all the sticker coverings off, I'll show you how to actually operate the motorcycle. So just here you have your on-off switch, and you'll have your battery level just up on the bars here. Right here is a lanyard, so if your kid falls off the bike, they'll have this around their wrist, and this will come off and it'll cut all power to the motor. And then once they put it back on, it'll have power again. Down here is the parental speed switch. It changes the top speed of the bike and the power. So in the first position here, it is the second power mode. In the middle is the first power mode, and the top is the fastest power mode. So that should be it for your SXE 500s and SXE 250s. So go out there and let your kids rip.